The circus back in town? Look, midgets playing basketball.
You think just because we're dwarves we can't play?
Duh.
Have you ever wanted something bigger than life? This is a story about dreams, big dreams, and small dreams. This is a story of four heroes. They have strength, power, determination. But about their height, well, never mind.
We need to stand up and believe in ourselves.
All we need is a giant.
Uh-huh.
Why don't you just call the NBA?
What about a giant who used to be in the NBA?
Nothing is out of reach if you never give up on your dream. But Cinderella stories are easier with Dennis Rodman on your team. Nothing is impossible.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships, one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, friends.
Hello, everyone out there. I thought I'd come to you guys for some advice that I think also our listeners would like. You guys know, but the audience may not. Coming up, there's a Monster Mania convention that we go to for horror movie stuff, and I'm taking a friend of the podcast, niece Ashley, to her first convention. And I thought we could talk some things out, to some advice I could give her, as we are all veterans of going to conventions. What should be like sort of the prep talk I give her on the ride over?
Wear comfortable shoes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small con, but we're comfortable shoes.
Prepare for the smell. There's a very pungent smell. But again, it's smaller, so I'm sure the room has air to breathe. It's not like New York Comic Con where you're bumping into people and everyone's...
I'm trying to. I think it's great that we that this came up and that she's really into horror stuff, because it gives. I want to sort of build up to, because she really doesn't. She really wants to go to San Diego, but obviously that's not happening.
Come on, Uncle Mark, let's go.
I joked with my sister. I was like, I will pay for her food and stuff at this, but it is not the bank of Uncle Mark if she wants things at the convention.
It's not.
I was gonna say, you say that now.
No, I told her. I joked. I was like, you need to pin $20 on her lapel.
But when something that she wants is $30,
Are you gonna say no?
I know. I'm not going to say no. You guys all know that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I just wanted to set the expectation of my sister. Like, don't send her without anything. Like, this isn't like, I already paid for the ticket that I'm not even asking, to split with you guys. But so I went to source. We can give her some advice. We're some veterans. I think this is a great convention, and I would recommend to anyone out there, depending on what you like. If it's video games, I think Too Many Games is a good first step to going to some kind of convention before you hit like New York and stuff like that. But I'm excited. That's the main reason I wanted to bring it up, because she literally squealed like you would see on TV when I mentioned. Mainly, I can't tell if it's because I mentioned we were going to a horror movie convention, or that she was going to get to meet Jen at the convention. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait to see if there's any fangirling going on during it. I've already warned your wife, Dan.
I'm sure. Again, it's Man, I don't know what it's like to be. I can't remember what it's like to be that age and be excited about things.
Yeah.
So
Oh, Dan doesn't remember in general what it's like to be excited about things.
yeah, it's February, and I want this year to end already. I am ready for this year to end. I'm at my wit's end, and again, it's February. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll be. I can use the con as a way to kind of just forget about things and look at people in costumes. And my goal is I just want to buy a horror shirt, maybe an Evil Dead shirt, or what would I have? I got a Dawn of the Dead T-shirt last year, so maybe I'll do like I said, Evil Dead or Jaws. That's the only thing that could turn 2024 around right now. Not the birth of my child, a horror T-shirt.
Late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
I got no advice to her. Let Uncle Mark buy you whatever you want. That's my advice.
Yeah, really hit him up, man.
I'm
He
a sucker.
says this stuff now, but flash forward to after the con, and she's carrying out 2 bags full of merch.
Yeah, I'm a sucker.
We all are, though. My niece is too young. She's only 1.5, so she can't do anything like that for me yet.
You can buy me stuff, Mark, if you want.
My presence on this podcast is gift enough.
Yeah, that's true.
It sucks. It's the worst gift.
I want my money back.
How do I return this gift?
I like having you on, Mark, if it means anything.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Well, this week was my pick, and I guess I chose violence this week.
A little bit.
I don't know.
You chose some.
Oh, Jesus.
So, I wanted to go with a movie that was going to bring you guys pain, and I did. I've actually seen this movie before. Back in the early days of this podcast, it was a monthly podcast, and in between those monthly episodes, wrote articles. So I have written an article on this movie. And the movie we watched is called The Minis, also known as Little Hoop Dreams, starring one Dennis Rodman. And this movie is amazing for so many reasons, but I want to hear where you guys are coming from with this movie. So, Dan, let's start with you. The Minis, where are you coming from?
Amazing is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, and it's an interesting word to use. I saw off the podcast, obviously, you were trying to sell us on this movie. You sent us the trailer for it, and I watched the trailer, and immediately I felt guilty. I felt dirty watching it. Like, I don't know. What are we going to do with this movie that doesn't paint us in a bad light?
This is coming from the man that picked Tiptoes, or whatever that movie was called for this podcast.
But that was a desperation. That was like a Hail Mary because I didn't know what to watch. And Anthony, you suggested it. So
I think we're
here.
Yeah, I think we're figuring out a pattern, Ant.
I am heightist, so
You are. That is. We even in our D&D campaign, you like to pick on the short guys. So
yeah. And on my MySpace page used to just have like Randy Newman's "Short People" song.
a lot of a certain demographics not going to know what the hell that means.
Well, go fuck yourself if you don't know what MySpace was.
Yeah, oh my gosh, this movie was it's something, dude. I thought it was just gonna be a poorly made movie, and not only so it was.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I thought it was just like, all right, well, they were just trying to do something, and they just it just didn't work out. It not only does it not work out, it fails on all levels spectacularly. Where the sound editing is bad.
Oh yeah.
The music is terrible. The video editing is bad. The acting is bad. This is like a bingo for bad movies. This is incredible. It deserves praise for just ticking off all the boxes, really.
All it needs is Neil Breen.
I respect Neil Breen more because he he fully believes what he's doing is good, and he fully believes that he is an artist and a director. This movie is just shameful, where it's about little people playing basketball, and the concern of the movie is not about them getting better at basketball necessarily. It's about putting them in silly situations. And I don't know why they decided to do this, but I felt as if they were kind of being made fun of on the down low. And that's not that's not a pun. But there's lines of dialogue where they're saying, "Oh, why the long face? You should stand tall." Like, are they poking fun at these guys?
I was, and Ann can correct me. I was kind of hoping that the writer, director, and all that was one of the little people in this movie.
He is not.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Like with the stuff you're talking about, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that it was like that one comedian, I forget his name, that's like all over TikTok and stuff. That's a little person where it's like, it's not as bad if like we're making fun of ourselves,
Sure.
But yeah, when I saw the credits and I was like, yeah. But yeah, 100% agree on that.
So we were talking about it before recording, and Mark, you mentioned that the soundtrack slaps. There's two songs in here where I thought to myself, these sound so familiar, and one of them is Yakety Sax.
Yeah.
And The Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani.
Oh, they get dangerously close to getting sued for that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
really close.
I'm assuming, and you've done more research into this, but
It's close. It's fucking close.
because my wife and I were watching this, and the song comes on, and in the background they're doing the like the hook for Sweet Escape.
Yeah.
I was like, man, there's no way they got permission to use that song. It's impossible. So it might have been one of those things where the director thought this is gonna fly so under the radar that no one will notice.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna. It's better. What's the saying? It's better to do something and ask for permission, or
Ask for
beg
forgiveness than
forgiveness.
ask for beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
forgiveness. Yes. So there's that, and then the yakety sax during their little like photo montage. Like they're making fun of the little people here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I messaged you guys in the group chat, like, Aunt, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so just to carry off the soundtrack slaps thing, it made me laugh just about every time a song came up because this movie is so close to a musical. If they just had one of the little people singing the songs that were playing in the background, you could class it as a musical because every song was about what was going on in the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's enough original music to have a record.
Yeah, and all you have is like one of them singing it while they're practicing basketball, and you have the Minis the musical. And that's my level of slaps there. It was terrible, but it was not like to me ruining the movie terrible because it made me laugh during those scenes, like how much it was just. We made a Randy Newman reference earlier, but just sort of the joke about Randy Newman just describing what he sees when he sings. But anyway, the whole conceit of this movie, which I love, is just loving who you are, essentially. But I had to just smirk at like the ridiculous situations that they put each of the characters in. To get that point going forward, except for the one businessman, little man, with the parted hair, that I just think was there so they could have four, because everyone else has like George is in a relationship. Chevy, has his whole love story dilemma thing, and then I was going to try and go 3 for 3, but Roger. Has whole thing with his son, which I'll get into later. And then there's the fourth guy who nothing exemplifies this moment that he's just added on. Then when they're all in the locker room and the George's girlfriend comes in, takes him out of the room. Roger's wife comes in, takes him out. And then as George is leaving, he just turns and goes, "Hey, man, you want to come with?" And he's like, "Sure." Like, that's it. That's how he gets home. They just ran out of storytelling for that part. But my favorite parts of this movie were the CGI stuff. The Dennis Rodman throwing one of them to make a slam dunk. I'm so glad I was not drinking anything, because that would have been a spit take. Because it's just so bad. And then they all turn into like Voltron or something to make the basket at the end, which apparently is illegal. According to that referee, who was definitely on the take from the Vipers, by the way. And it just, like, I looked down, I think, at my phone. I think I saw a message come through. I looked down at my phone, looked back up at the TV, and all of a sudden, one of them was just being the hang-on guy with the hair. The one that's just an extra was just all of a sudden surrounded by like bright light. And I was like, did one of them die while I was looking at my phone?
That would have been a nice little twist.
I know. And then when the other one got, I was like, oh, this is something stupid. But yeah, the whole fact that this thing was supposedly televised, and it's a terrible, terrible movie. There's no getting around that. But it is so much better than it should be, in terms of it doesn't really, at least for me, there's no point where, well, it's not a long run time, but there's no point where it drags at all. In scenes, like, everything has a point, which is why an hour 20 roughly runtime is really good for this.
It's hard to drag when everything is a montage. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, yeah, it's like there's no slowing down the pace to make this like something I'm dreading going through. Me personally, I was going through the movie trying just to see how they could top what they did in previous scenes. The whole trying on clothes 80s montage thing was like chef's kiss. And just the montages of them getting better at basketball is pretty good. And then circling back to what I said, it is funny that Roger was expecting his son Charlie to get a scholarship in basketball. And then when he shows up to play in the game, he is worse than the minis.
He's fucking terrible.
There's a scene where he's like studying in the park, and a group of, I guess the bullies come up, and the main bully is making fun of him and his dad. And the son challenges him to a one-on-one basketball match. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I thought I missed something. Like, wait a minute. He just challenged him to one-on-one. What's happening here? Is he
the bully backed down? The bully backed down.
Oh, is that what? I guess that's what happened.
Yeah, because he stood up to him. Like you do to bullies.
I thought it was just he was so terrible they couldn't show it.
Probably that too.
He is fucking terrible. He can't. He's head down, dribbling, one-handed.
Yeah.
It's awful. It is so funny because the first half of this movie, not even the first half, it's the first 20 minutes. The conflict that starts off everything. The catalyst of this movie is that this shitty kid is rejected for a scholarship for college, a basketball scholarship. And then so Roger has to figure out a way how he's going to afford college for his son now that he's not going to get the scholarship. But it's funny to me that he is so awful, and the idea, it's like, where is the disconnect of you? I know you love your son, but come on, dude.
Is it just that Roger assumes that everybody that's not a little person must be great at basketball?
I guess so.
Just because they're taller.
Yeah.
How tall you are. Now, I think that this movie has an incredible twist in it.
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
Yes, where the beginning has Roger's son so upset that he did not get the scholarship. Like, he's tearing up the pennant for the college.
the single decoration on his wall that he has.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing adorning this kid's wall. And so he tears it up, only to find out in the third act that his son never wanted to play basketball, but he wanted to go to clown school. Holy shit.
It's incredible.
Yeah, the first half of that is not even the twist. Like, obviously that's the like very foreshadowed ideas that he never liked basketball, that the dad forced it on him.
The problem here, I'm sorry to cut you off. The problem is we know nothing about the son's interest in clown school. It's
no, that's what I'm getting to. Like, everything else in the movie from there on out, like when he's having this scene in my head, he's like, oh, he's going to tell me he wants to be a nurse or something.
Yes.
Because he's volunteering at the hospital. It's like, all right, nurse. That makes sense. And then he says clown college. I go, wait, what? Like, there's no... And then when he shows up at the game, he's just wearing the red nose and the hat. Like, I would have been more satisfied. I mean, it still was fucking hilarious. And I laughed when I saw him pop up on screen. If he would have done the full face paint. Just full face paint. Go all the way. That would have been, but I guess it would have been really hard to play basketball and not be sweaty in the face paint.
Couldn't have been any worse than he was.
Yeah. But, oh man, like I said, the not liking basketball wasn't the twist, because we're veterans of knowing like movie plots and stuff. And this movie wasn't stealthing anything until that clown college moment. Everything else you could see coming a mile away. Like Chevy's love story, and that they weren't going to win the game. That Rodman's injury was fake. All that stuff. I'm like, I can see all this coming a mile away. But man, that was like an M. Night Shyamalan moment.
He
just out of nowhere.
A twist as good as that.
Yeah, you guys are forgetting about the scene where Roger walks in on him and he hides it like he's hiding porn. The clown nose.
Oh, I didn't even notice that it was a clown nose.
Can't you fucking knock?
Oh, wait a minute. Was that in the beginning of the movie?
It's like the second time he comes into his room.
Yeah.
And he yells at him for not knocking.
I know the scene, because I also laughed about that sounding like he was putting porno under his bed.
Yeah.
So it was, they show the clown nose?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I missed that.
He shoves it in his drawer in his desk. Did you knock? Something like that.
I missed that.
I didn't see the nose, so we were both, Dan, in the same boat of being shocked at that moment.
Maybe I've seen the movie, so I knew it was coming. So maybe I just completed the picture.
Sure, could be.
Honestly, I would much rather my child hide porn from me, or much rather get caught with porn than with the clown nose.
Yeah,
Same. If my son tells me he wants to go to clown college, gone. I work too goddamn hard for you to go to clown college.
I would say clown college. You can't eat that.
You can't. I don't think any of us were expecting him to say that.
That you could have given me like a half hour worth of guesses, and I don't think I would have gotten the clown college.
Never.
It's incredible. It's so good. I also love how like the first the conflict in the beginning part of this movie is solved in the first 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't even gotten to the basketball tournament yet. They set it up as like, we need money to pay for shitty kids' college. How are we going to do that? Oh, look, this local Venice Beach basketball tournament has $50,000 cash prize. That'll help me pay for his college. And then like, oh, well, we're just going to sell out because we're little people. And for some reason, that is a gold mine to Dennis Rodman and his agent. And they're just flush with cash before this basketball tournament even happns.
Yeah, Chevy has a ton of money, right? That's the whole crux of his plot, is this woman not falls in love, but dates him solely because he's rich now because of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
So they must all have money.
There is no narrative reason for this movie to end in a basketball tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no reason. This movie could just be the same exact movie without the basketball part of it.
But then why have Dennis Rodman, right?
Yeah, because he needs to fulfill his community service somehow.
That's true. He
And
must have hated himself on this movie set.
I mean, I don't want to say he's slurring his words, but he's definitely just throwing a lot of lines away.
Yeah,
Like, he's
absolutely.
mumbling a lot of shit. And
Yeah.
like, that's the best take you got. Like, there's this one, they made a Carmen Electra joke at one point, and they cut to him like he's going to say something about it, because I remember that they were married at one point.
Right.
But you can't hear a word he says.
Because I think the audio mixing was still like they couldn't figure out how to normalize the audio. Like his audio levels were so much lower than everyone else's, but they just couldn't figure out how to bump it up without bumping everyone else's up.
He is, at best, he's indecipherable. I feel so bad for whoever did the closed captioning on this movie.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. I just someone at a computer screen like, what the fuck is he saying?
It's like, God damn it, Dennis, enunciate. You're ambassador to North Korea, for fuck's sakes.
Do you think he's shown Kim Jong-un?
You know what? Kim Jong loves movies.
He does.
And he loves basketball.
He holds the world record for points in a game, right? Or something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
He's probably scored 100 points in a game.
Yes. Yeah. This movie it's an incredible watch. And the music's terrible, but the Yakety Sax song is kind of catchy.
It's so funny. it's just the but with the word minis thrown in it. Everything.
Yeah.
Every song just has them talking about the minis. a random score.
Yep.
It's so jarring.
Yeah. It is funny to me that in this world, this tournament is such a huge story. Like, we have to buy in to the idea that simply because they are a little person basketball team, they are going to get so much money for just being themselves.
And I think that's kind of poking fun at them, right? Like, you're a freak show playing with the freak show. Right?
It really toes the line, right? Because
I think so.
Because it packages this up as like a movie that's showing that you could be whatever you want to be, right? But it's also taking the piss out of them just a little bit,
and
right?
I don't 100%. Right? You put them in these situations where they shouldn't be in it, right? For God's sakes, they're in a breakdancing montage. The breakdancers make fun of them. The two breakdancers form a little person, right? They put the shirt over the other one's legs, and like walk around as if they're a little person. Like, they're clearly making fun of them. You're right, because they're masquerading this movie as if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. But you have everyone in the movie just say like, oh, isn't it funny watching them train because they're small, so they can't do pull-ups. Get
it? They're small.
They're small, right? It's funny. Like, watch them try to dance. It's weird because the woman has to pick one of them up to dance with him.
I was going to say that might be the most offensive thing. Is that to be able to have them in the same shot instead of having her maybe go down, to his level. They have her pick him up like a baby.
There's a scene where they're walking into this club. Oh, I feel terrible laughing, but I'm sorry. There's a shot where the one woman, the cow, the Miss Bovine or whatever her name is, literally picks up Chevy and puts him on the seat as if he were a child.
Right.
Why? Yeah. Why could we not have just cut to them being at the table already?
Well, that's because you had to see the scene earlier when they were at the restaurant and one of them pulled up a chair and then spent a quarter of that scene trying to get into said chair while the dialogue was going on around them.
The scene order is just unnecessary. You don't need it.
No, and I love the reveal about the surgery that Chevy wants to get. is just, he tells Dennis, it'll just make me a few inches taller. And Dennis is like, what's a few inches going to do? Like, and he's trying to say it in a positive way. Like that's not going to change anything about you. But when you're thinking surgery, I'm like, oh, what are they going to do? Somehow, is this some weird like surgery making fun of them? Obviously, as we said, that was going to let him be like 4 foot or 5 foot or like whatever, some ridiculous length. For that's not physically possible. But when he says a few inches, it's like, and Rodman goes, is it worth it? In the second worst basketball acting in a movie we've seen on this podcast. And it just such a dry delivery, but yeah, it's like it tries to be inspirational, but while also being very, it's
derogatory.
Well, I was going to say infantilizing. I was going to say emasculating, but they kind of do that a little bit, but they make everything's just about them being like children and being treated like children. And that maybe you got to hope they signed off on it and just weren't like really desperate for the money. The actors in the movie.
Well, I'll say that it does seem like everybody had fun making this movie.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we can look back on it with 2024 like sensibility and more criticism that we give to stuff like this. But if they all signed off on it and it wasn't some guy going, well, I gotta make rent, so let me go do this movie where I get picked up and danced with, and treated like a child. As long as they were all into it, and we're just like having fun, sort of making fun of their situation, or the situations they get put in because of who they are, then I'm fine with it. But
I think they're in on it because at the beginning of the movie, it's a mini ink production, right? Isn't that what kind of movie it is? So they must have made a small a small production.
It'll be hard in this whole podcast.
Yeah, and again, no pun intended, but they probably made a smaller production group where it's almost as if it's the Broken Lizards Club, right?
Right.
Where they make movies on their own. They raise money. So maybe this is their version of it. It's those 4 guys, and they make these types of movies. I'm not sure, but seeing that their production is at the head of the movie, they probably okayed whatever was going on.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah,
but still, it doesn't make it what was happening any less worse, in my opinion.
So, The Minis from 2007 was directed by Valerio Zanoli, Italian director. Directed a few movies called Hopeful Notes and All You Could Dream and some other movies. Stars Dennis Rodman, Gabriel Pimentel, Joe Naffo, Dana Michael Woods, Bradley Lace, Richard Portnow, Rusty Burns, and Caroline Macy. IMDb score of 2.6, Rotten Tomato score, no tomato meter, but a 73% audience score. Budget $1 million. Box office $65,000.
So we imagine 3/4 of that went to Dennis Rodman.
I think he made a good amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice paycheck. And there was also a PC video game made for this movie.
I saw you mention that on TikTok.
Yep.
And that blew me away.
Yeah.
Game Vault Pod crossover.
There you go.
Do you have any further? Is this kind of like a backyard baseball thing?
It kind of looks like it. I did find a trailer for this video game. Yeah.
Okay. The tagline is "Heroes come in all sizes." I wouldn't classify the characters as heroes. Would you?
I guess if you're like, oh, they're heroes for their attempts to win this tournament despite their size. That kind of hero.
Like
inspirational hero.
Inspirational hero, not an actual. Because it's not heroic to play basketball.
Are they superheroes?
They do form Ultron.
They do form Ultron.
So yeah, maybe they do have power. The storyline is a talented team of basketball players. I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah,
they are not talented.
That's another thing. It's like on the same level as like the Sun. He's like, oh, the best way for me to make $50,000 is to enter this basketball tournament. Beginning of the movie, they are awful.
Yeah, they can't pass the ball. They can't shoot the ball. It's like their first time picking up basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they do have a moment, they do have a montage halfway through where they market improvement. But at the beginning, when he decides this is the way to make $50,000 quick, it's like, man, you're going to, like, on what planet?
Right. No, so, again, how it should have been, and again, forgive me, they're not good at the beginning. So they have 2 strikes against them. They're smaller, and they're terrible at the game they want to play. Really, what should have been is that they're actually pretty good, but they just can't get over that hump of being smaller, right? They need that extra oomph. Yeah. Because now you're telling us that these little people are able to progress in a very challenging sport in a short amount of time, which does not equate.
And just to let you know, Ant, because I immediately search for this video game. If you search Little Hoop Dreams, the minis game, your article is the 4th thing that comes up on Google.
Nice.
It's your number 4, meaning it's the 4th one you did back on June 28th, 2018.
There you go.
Yeah, go check that out if you have some time.
All right, you guys want to get into the plot?
Let's do it.
Okie dokie.
All right, Dan, what do you got for us?
Okay, guys, just real quick, gonna shout out our 2 friends of the podcast. Top 10 with Tia is a weekly podcast where our good friend Tia and her co-host Brittany, they discuss and run down their top 10 lists of the week. So please go check them out at geekvibesnation.com. They're also on YouTube. If you search the top 10 with Tia, give them a follow. They are awesome people. And our very own Mark Ayers has a podcast, as he mentioned before, called the Game Vault Podcast, where Mark and Tom and other guests come on and discuss video game news, what they're playing, things that you should kind of keep an eye out for in the video game world, as well as the video game, the old school video game that they're covering, that we also known as the Retro Roulette game, ranging from Nintendo to Sega Genesis, Dreamcast, PlayStation. They cover it all. It's a lot of fun. So please go follow them on all their socials at Game Vault Pod. Follow them on Twitch at Game Vault Pod, and check them out on any podcast platform of your choice. And that's it.
Okay, great. And we're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into the plot for The Minis, aka Little Hoop Dreams. We open on some home movies from when our hero, Roger, is a kid. He's on a basketball court looking glum as his dad tries to tell him that he can be anything he wants to be if he believes in himself. Then we have a really high energy credit sequence as our first original song is played over shots of Venice Beach. We come out of it to see Roger as an adult playing basketball with his friend Chevy. When he shoots some hoops, then opine about being short. They're both dwarves, and wishing they were young again. Then Roger's shitty kid walks by and says that he can't play basketball because he has homework, and calls Roger by his first name. Some high school bullies show up to make fun of Roger and Chevy for being dwarves. At some point, Roger gets roped into showing off how well he could shoot from the three-point line, but the basketball court doesn't have a three-point line, and even if it did, it's a mid-range shot from the top of the key. Regardless, it gets stuck between the hoop and the backboard, and the bullies run off laughing. After a few futile attempts to try and get the ball down by waving a palm leaf at it, they give up. The ball eventually just falls and hits Roger on the head.
I think that's also kind of humiliating, that scene.
Yeah.
Him using a palm leaf.
And he still can't reach it?
Yeah, like, oh, come on. Even if you could reach it, is a palm leaf really going to do the trick? Just setting these guys up to fail.
We then cut to Chevy walking up to a pretty woman by the name of Natalia. He obviously has a crush on her, but she doesn't remember his name. She blows him off to go out with her boyfriend, who looks a lot like a taller version of Chevy. So then we get a montage of Chevy walking around the park being sad.
The woman tells Chevy that the guy can play basketball that she's leaving with. Like, oh, he plays real basketball, and we never see him play.
No. That's the last time we even see him, because every time we see her, she's with another guy.
Oh, that's right. That's a different guy.
Yeah.
I
This guy has no hair, and the next guy has full head of hair.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't one of those guys on the Vipers at the end?
Probably. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Even if they're not playing the same character, it's probably the same actor.
Yeah. I thought the one with the hair was in the game.
Yeah. I'm also pretty sure the high school bully is on the Vipers too.
Yes,
Makes
he
sense.
definitely is.
Because
Those
are the only 5 people that they knew that could play basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anyone other than Dennis Rodman knows how to play basketball in this movie.
Yeah. Then we cut to Roger and his wife watching their shitty son playing a pickup basketball game like they're watching a rec league. And he's terrible at basketball and he's playing in a polo.
I had written down in my notes the mother or the principal of the school tells the mother like, "Oh, you're so supportive," and the mom says, "Oh, I always try to be supportive of my son's activities." You're supportive of a pickup basketball game?
Mm-hmm.
Who does that?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird that his parents are watching him play this pickup game with his friends.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And he's in a polo.
That's right, he is. I completely forgot about that. He forgot to they just didn't put him in wardrobe, or they didn't have the wardrobe.
Yeah, they're like, "I'll just bring something from home," and he brought that. They're like, "Wow, fuck." All right.
Figured you would understand the assignment here. Apparently not.
Then some British lady who eventually we find out is the principal comes over to talk about some fundraiser that's going to have Dennis Rodman make an appearance. Then Roger's shitty kid trips on the court and the bully makes a remark like father, like son. So we cut to them going home and Roger's shitty kid runs to his room upset. Roger tries to convince his shitty kid to go to the fundraiser with him on Saturday to see Dennis Rodman because his shitty kid is such a big basketball fan. But his shitty kid tells him that he doesn't care about basketball and that he didn't get the basketball scholarship they were hoping he was going to get. Based on what? He's terrible at basketball.
And it's based on a picture that Roger has of his shitty son holding a basketball. That's how we know he loved basketball.
Yep. Later, as Roger's shitty kid rips the one wall decoration he has on his wall, Roger and his wife talk about generic teenagers be assholes sorts of things. At work, Roger asks Chevy if he thinks he's a good dad and Chevy tells him he thinks his shitty kid is embarrassed by him.
Did either of you find it interesting that they both work at the same job?
That is an interesting hiring process, I suppose.
Yeah. Very forward thinking, which is great, but
yeah,
how often do you see that in real life?
Right next to each other, too.
Exactly. Which, again, kind of seems as if they're making fun of them. I'll put them together in the corner there.
Yeah. Then at the beach, Chevy talks about how he has a tall woman kink and he wants to have surgery to make himself taller. They then come across a flyer for a basketball tournament where the winner gets $50K. They think that this is the ticket to help pay for Roger's shitty kid's tuition. Chevy doesn't think Roger knows 3 tall guys to create a team with, and Roger says he's right. So smash cut to a bar/restaurant where Chevy and Roger tell their friends their plan to win the basketball competition. And they're all dwarves, and at the very least, they're all middle-aged.
Yes, yeah, they're definitely on the older side.
But they say, sure, what the hell, they don't have anything else to do. So we then have a montage of them playing basketball, and they are all terrible. After the practice, all of them are hurting because they're out of shape, because they are middle-aged. Roger tries to rally them with inspirational speeches, but they say they need a giant. So Roger looks off to the distance. We assume this means they're going to try and convince Dennis Rodman to play for them. So then cut to Dennis Rodman giving a speech at the fundraiser where he's talking about the importance of money. But then the principal cuts him off so he can pivot and say something close to inspirational. And when he does, he asks for a check and then he heads to his limo. But the guys chase after him and tell him that they're going to enter a basketball tournament and asks him if he'll join or at least coach them. He says he doesn't have the time and they don't have the money, so he leaves. After a short scene of Roger feeling bad for himself, Chevy also sits sad alone at a bar. He has a conversation with a waitress named Lorraine, who's also a dwarf, and he tells her that he's depressed because he wants to play basketball but can't because he's a dwarf. The waitress, Lorraine, tells him that he's never let being a dwarf stop him to do what he's wanted before, but he just chooses to be depressed anyway. Cut to Rodman sitting with his slimy agent, as his agent tells him that he's spent Rodman's career making him into a freak, and it has been very lucrative, but money is drying up.
This guy, the agent,
yeah,
I think it's between him and the reporter for the worst actor in the movie. Because I think they kind of told him, have fun with it, but he wasn't good enough to have that much fun, Because he's really going overboard. Like, he's really chewing the scenery, but he's not talented enough to do that.
Yeah, and he's the only real actor in this movie.
Is he?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. He was bad. The reporter was the reporter was a whole too.
Yeah.
I look forward to talking about her a little bit.
Yeah, Richard Portnow's got almost 200 credits to his name.
Yikes.
I think he's got Seinfeld on his resume. Yeah, for one episode.
Okay. Well.
He's in Trumbo, 13 episodes of The Sopranos.
Oh, so you know what this is? It's him thinking he's too good for this. And just like, I'm just gonna fuck around with it. And turning in one of the worst performances.
So Rodman mentions that Roger and the other guys asked him to be part of their basketball team, and the agent thinks this is a good way to make a lot of money, so he sends Rodman out to go find them. Finds them down at the basketball court at Venice Beach, and he brings them in front of his agent. They have a meeting where the agent struggles with the nomenclature, calling them dwarves, but he says he's going to market the shit out of them, and everyone's going to make a ton of money. So we then have another montage where the minis work out at Muscle Beach. We have another original music moment, then an extended breakdancing scene. And back home, Roger comes to tell his shitty kid that all the agent's plans is going to get them money. They need to send his shitty kid to college. Kid doesn't care. He just wants to rub his red clown nose in the privacy of his bedroom without his dad barging in. And that is not a euphemism. And Chevy goes to Natalia's house and finds she has an apartment exclusively decorated in cow print because she was some sort of cow-themed beauty queen back in Paris, Texas. Chevy starts telling her about... Okay.
I was going to say, I don't know if we mentioned this when she first showed up, but Chevy has, I think, the dumbest joke, or maybe he mentions it here, where she says she's from Paris, Texas, and he goes, I noticed a little French accent there.
And she doesn't get it.
And yeah. And it's so forced.
Mm-hmm. So he starts telling her about all the things with the basketball team, Dennis Rodman, the agent, and she starts warming up to him because she thinks he has a ton of money. Later at the restaurant with Lorraine, Roger and Chevy tell her about what's going on with the team, and then Chevy tells her about how he's going to get closer to banging Natalia. And they hustle out, and as they get a call from Dennis, and Lorraine gets jealous of Natalia. They do a news spot at Venice Beach with Rodman, and then we have an extended montage of the Minis and Rodman doing a photo shoot in various costumes. Then at home, Roger's wife is showing off the Minis website and is excited about all the money that they're going to be getting because of this. The website directs to the IMDb page at this point.
I'm sorry, but now here is where you were talking about how this movie should have abandoned the basketball plot, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, it should have been they get so swept up with this newfound fame where they lose sight of their love of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then they kind of have to decide, do we want to go down this route where we're sellouts, or do we want to play the game that we all love?
Yeah.
I think that's a much more interesting thread.
Yeah, that's how movies work. That's closely resembles a movie.
Have you seen a movie? Well, that's how it would go.
Not so much this one. This one's like, oh, we got to make money. Oh, done. Now we've got 40 minutes left to kill.
Well, we still have Rodman under contract for another couple weeks, so we got to put him to use somehow.
Yeah, we've got all these songs we've got recorded. We'll do montages.
Oh, you know how people talk about Elton John not having to go so hard for the Lion King soundtrack?
Yeah.
Or Phil Collins for Tarzan?
Yeah.
The person who wrote the score for this thought they were doing that. This is my moment.
Like the pause screen from GoldenEye.
Oh, that's such a great sketch. It doesn't have to go that hard, remember? And holy shit, this is fire. That's what this guy thought was happening.
Yeah. And the wife tells him that his shitty kid has been volunteering at the hospital, but Roger didn't know anything about it because he's never home anymore. At school, Roger's shitty kid gets bullied by the bully again. Roger's shitty kid stands up for himself, telling the bully, Jimmy, that his dad is a winner for putting up with intolerant people like him every day. And then Jimmy, the bully, sheepishly walks away.
He makes a good point there. That's like the one good thing this movie did.
Yeah. The Minis go out to Santa Monica with Dennis Rodman and their women and Roger's shitty kid. Chevy tells So he can mope in the corner. That's all this fucking kid does.
You never ask about what I want to do. Well, what do you want to do? Don't worry about it. Oh my gosh.
Chevy tells Dennis about his experimental surgery to grow a couple of inches, which sounds horrifying. Dennis tells him that Chevy stands taller than anyone he knows and shouldn't have to go through the surgery.
Unless we're thinking about the wrong few inches.
Oh,
Maybe that's what he was getting at. Like, oh
Maybe.
no, like, you're how much taller are you gonna get? 3 feet? Like, oh no, it would grow to like 6 inches. That's huge for us. Like, oh, never mind. Okay, go for it.
Let me see. We then have a montage, an original song that is really close to Gwen Stefani's Sweet Escape, as the minis hit the dance floor, dancing with their women and then some other women. Through all the fun, Roger's shitty kid mopes in the corner. Roger comes to talk to him, and the kid drops a bomb. He doesn't want to play basketball. He wants to go to clown college.
well, and I think we didn't give this enough credit because I just remembered that it's the lead up to the reveal. Like, I don't want to play basketball. What are you going to do? I want to make people laugh. Like, okay, are they going to go like comedian
Right.
or actor? Like, what are we? And then he goes, what do you mean make people? And he's like, and he goes, clown college. And I'm like, oh fuck, okay.
He wants to go to Paris. He wants to go to Paris to become a French clown.
Oh, and talk about the thinking that was a great callback in the writer's room when he goes, you mean Paris, Texas?
Yeah. They definitely thought that was. They definitely thought that was clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, like it's funny because they mentioned Paris before, so yeah, they'll get it.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Chevy calls out Natalia for always getting headaches when he's trying to get it in, which upsets her. So she puts him down and walks away.
Do you think Chevy do you think he went home and made a spreadsheet of all the times that she refused?
Tired.
Yeah, tired. Wasn't home. Wasn't feeling well. Had to get up early the next day.
Then we get another montage as the guys play basketball and are now showing market improvement. We go back to the agent's office where he announces that he's got the minis a national commercial for diapers, which pisses off the minis because they didn't want to be known for shilling diapers. They want to be known for playing basketball and for proving you could be anything you want. They leave in anger except for Chevy, who is still down for the agent's for plans.
Because he thinks that's how he can get normal size or women, as I think he says.
Yeah.
He's the Gene Simmons of the minis.
He's just there to fuck.
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Like, listen, I'll sell my soul just to get it in.
Yeah. Look, you don't fuck 20,000 women without selling your soul a little bit.
Right, without giving something up.
The Lord takes it back eventually. For the devil.
Yeah.
Devil takes it back.
Which is fitting for Gene Simmons because he plays the demon.
Yeah. Chevy tries to convince the other guys, but they aren't having any of it. And Dennis Rodman tells the agent that the minis have shown him what it's like to play basketball for the love of a game again, which he hasn't had in years. Back in Natalia's, she tells Chevy that if the minis are no more, she doesn't see how they can work as a couple. So he leaves and goes to Lorraine's diner, bummed. He realizes that what hurts the most is that he lost his best friend. Back at Roger's house, the other guys are commiserating when Chevy comes in and they make up. Then Dennis Rodman shows up and he tells them that he wants to help them in the tournament no matter what. So they dogpile on Dennis Rodman in celebration. It's weird.
It was creepy. Yeah. I wouldn't have agreed to that if I was any one of them.
Yeah. Again, because that's like a child thing to do. It's another this movie inadvertently infantilizing them.
Yes. Yeah, because one of the characters, I think it's Chevy, Dennis Rodman gives him a full-on hug while he's on top of him. Like, that's what you would do to your kid.
Right, these are men in their mid-30s.
Right. Yeah, don't full-on embrace this guy while he's on top of you like that.
Right, just because he's small.
Right, yeah, it gives off a very odd vibe.
Yeah. And here we are. We are about an hour into this movie, and we finally get to the basketball tournament. And a montage as Dennis Rodman just takes control of the entire game. He just dominates. I would like to see the final score of that game.
Oh, the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't even show the other team scoring.
Yeah. So after the game, the guys tell Dennis that they have to play as a team. So the next game, they spread the ball around and they still win, with Rodman throwing Chevy at the basket at one point. So this is kind of weird, like the narrative of the movie, because like there they play as a team.
Mhm.
The second game is the point, right? Just because they have Dennis Rodman doesn't mean they don't successfully do what they wanted to do in that game. So like it's
Right.
weird for him to fake the injury in the leg after that game, because it kind of like it proved the point already.
Right. Yeah. The how you make that work is when Roger says we need to play as a team, and they start losing when when he starts passing the team around, or when he starts passing the ball around to the team, right? They start losing, and then Rodman decides, oh, I have to take over, and gets injured.
Right.
Again, that's something a real movie would do.
So the next game, they spread the ball around, still win, with Rodman throwing Chevy at the bed. After the game, the guys celebrate. Dennis offers Chevy a party in Hollywood, but Chevy passes, but tells Natalia to go with Dennis. So he winds up having a romantic montage with Lorraine, who stopped by after work after seeing the story on the news. Then another montage as the guys prepare for the final game of the tournament. So then it's the day of the tournament, and Roger's shitty kid is dressed as a clown.
Can I add one thing from that montage? The part of them jumping on the mini trampolines may have been the most ridiculous moment in any of the montages, because I don't know what exactly supposed that they're training for. Yeah. Because jumping on a trampoline doesn't make you jump higher in real life. Like, are they preparing for the Voltron thing?
Maybe.
Like, oh, I wish they had shown that in practice. Like, guys, this is our secret weapon, but they keep tumbling down. Like, oh, we almost got it that time, guys. I'm like, we'll never get it. And then when the time, I don't know why I said it that way. Like,
when push comes to shove, they do it. They pull it off.
Yeah, exactly. When it's needed the most.
Mm-hmm. Towards the end of the game, Rodman goes up for a dunk, but comes down awkwardly to hurt his knee. Gets wheeled off the court on a stretcher. The ref says they have 10 minutes to find a replacement. So the guys go to the locker room, and Roger's shitty kid shows up with his clown costume and says he'll be the fifth player, and calls Roger dad for the first time.
It would have been funny if Roger goes, "I've seen you play. No, thank you."
So they go back out and play, and Roger's shitty kid can't dribble without his head down. So I'm not sure if he was ever going to get that scholarship. The game continues in montage until they have time for one last play, and they summon the power of the minis as they stand on each other's shoulders as Roger's shitty kid gets quintuple teamed, and he throws them the ball as Ultron, and they dunk the basketball as time expires.
I don't think he so much throws the ball at him as he just throws the ball in a direction. Right. Somehow they catch it.
Yeah.
And when Chevy dunks the ball, he's not even dunking it in a real hoop. It's photoshopped in. So he's just throwing a ball down.
Yep.
Because I wonder if they probably even stacked on top of each other. They probably didn't reach the hoop.
I'm sure they didn't.
And I'm not trying to be mean. I just think that's probably accurate.
Yeah. But the ref calls the shot illegal and says the shot doesn't count. Dennis comes to their defense, and the ref says no shot. And then they all realize that Dennis was never hurt, but he says he wanted to show the minis they could win without him, even though they didn't.
He really failed.
Yeah. Then the crowd does the weakest chant of the minis. And
the shitty kid tries to start it.
Yeah. It's like they didn't tell the
extras
that was happening. And Chevy runs to Lorraine's diner, and they hug. Then somehow Roger's wife has the scoreboard play their home movie of Roger and his dad. Then Roger and his shitty kid hug. And that is the end of the minis. Wild ride.
I love how through this entire description of the plot, we just referred to Roger's son as his shitty kid.
Oh, he's terrible. I hate him so much.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything good, really.
No, he just mopes.
Yeah, I thought the kid from Thunderstruck was bad in terms of being a shitty kid trying to play basketball, but no, this kid takes the cake.
Yeah. I remember that kid like actually being pretty good at basketball from Thunderstruck.
Yeah, but he was still a shitty kid.
He was still a shitty kid. As most kids are.
Yeah, this guy, Roger's son, both takes the prize for being a shitty kid and also a shitty basketball player.
It is astonishing how bad everybody in this movie is at the game of basketball.
I very much feel like this is the equivalent of the kid lied on his resume.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, I can play basketball. And then they hire him, they start shooting, and they're like, oh, no. We don't have enough money to reshoot, so...
We're already behind schedule here.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we can't afford a stunt basketball player and just not let his face be in the shot. And also, I loved how he had this ridiculous grin on his face throughout the entire basketball game.
He was having fun.
And
He loves the game of basketball.
that was definitely the direction from the director. Was
He
you
only
love
loved-
basketball? You're having fun out there, and just the kid just had this creepy smile on his face the entire time.
He only loves the game of basketball while dressed like a clown.
That's
That's the only way he can find enjoyment.
He had to be true to himself, right?
I wish they would have shown him like juggling or doing something with what do they call it? Like the posy where you squirt the water out.
Oh yeah, sure.
Why do you not incorporate that into the game? That would have been great, right?
Because you got to take the game of basketball seriously, Dan.
Right. That's true.
The way to win it is to build a Voltron of little people so that the top one can dunk the basketball.
They did it for the love of the game.
Yes.
It would have been great because they're doing these trick shots, right? They're going underneath the other player's legs and stealing the ball. Dennis Rodman throws one of them into the basket.
The most patronizing moment of the game of the tournament is when Dennis Rodman makes Chevy be the center on the tip off and taps him on the back and goes, "Biggest man on the court."
Yeah. Like, what are we doing, man?
And then the way he wins, the way he wins the tip is by doing some kind of weird distraction and hitting the ball like a volleyball.
Yeah, no, that's where he makes the Carmen Electra joke.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
I didn't realize that was a...
And Dennis Rodman just says something. He has a reaction shot and everything. He says something that you can't hear.
Oh, man. Was that... one thing about the movie, was anyone else's lip sync off with the audio?
At the beginning.
Okay. Maybe I just
noticed that. The shitty kid's voice was off.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think it corrected itself at one point. But I did notice that. No. Real quick, maybe this sounds... if this sounds bad, you can cut it out, Ant. All right?
Oh, no, staying in.
But if I'm any one of those other players or people and I lose to that team, sans Dennis Rodman... I'm never picking up a basketball again in my life. Right?
What would be more embarrassing? Losing to this team or losing to Air Bud?
It's got to be losing to a dog. Because the dog doesn't understand the concept of basketball.
Yeah.
Well, take into the account the shitty kid who may not know the concept of basketball.
That's true. With his flat-footed jump shot.
He plays in a polo too. Yeah, that's pretty bad. At least Airbud had the jersey on.
Yeah. I always love the joke about Airbud. Is imagine being the kid that had to be cut to put Airbud on the team.
Yeah, that's hurtful.
All right. Well, that is the minis, aka Little Hoop Dreams.
Little Hoop Dreams is a better name.
We got a third segment coming up, but before we do, you guys are going to listen to some ads so we can pay those bills, and we will be right back. And welcome back, and now it's time for our final segment. And this week, we're doing another tier list, and this week it is sports movies. We got a whole bunch of sports movies we got here. Ranking them S tier through D tier. All right, so we can kind of do how we usually do, call one out, and we'll discuss. All right?
I like it.
All right, Mark, where do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Pick a movie.
Yeah, so the first one I saw right away, just because the friend of the podcast, we'll go, can we do Teen Wolf like a BA level?
We got
I would say like a B level.
Yeah.
Dan, where are you feeling? B or A?
Ooh, I don't even know if I would put it at that high, but so if that's the case, I'm going B.
Okay.
I would split it because I was thinking more C, but
Yeah, I was just comparing it to the other ones that I'm seeing on this list.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I had it lower. Because, I mean, we see there's some fucking bangers. So
Yeah, but I feel like what I...
All
All right, Dan. What about you? You pick one. Where are we going?
right. I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm going to start at the bottom because we kind of tend the last couple times we've done this, we've tried to fill out the top tiers at first.
Yeah.
No, we can do that.
Yeah, I want to fill out a bottom. Let's go. All right. Yeah, this was a movie when I was younger. I thought it was the funniest movie ever, but on rewatches, it's you're close. You were so close. Go up one. Yeah, basketball. This movie does not stand up the test of time. I'm putting that at a D.
S? Oh, sorry.
Yes, yeah. That when I was like 13, 14, I would have put it at an A or an S because I didn't understand comedy. But it's got this one joke over and over. And when I watched it again in my late 20s, oh man, I can't believe I enjoyed this movie.
All right. I watched this not that long ago, and I still think it's pretty great.
Okay.
But, Mark, where do you lie on the basketball?
I haven't seen it recently. I would think just going by movies of that era, and well, I would lean D, but I would trust you a little bit more if you've seen it more recently than I have, or both of you.
This is more
Yeah.
Consensus, where if you think it's D, then I'm outvoted.
Yeah, it's D. You'll do it.
Yeah, I put it at B.
B.
Yeah.
So what? I'm curious. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but what did you like about it?
It's just stupid. It's like maybe it's not quite Joe Dirt and Pootie Tang, but it's like the next rung in terms of comedies of that era.
All right. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. All right, where do I want to go? Alrighty. I am going to say Little Giants. Where are we putting Little Giants?
A.
Oh, that's an A movie for me, yeah.
All right, get down with that, yeah.
Ed O'Neill, Rick Moranis.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of the best lines that I repeat all the time is who's when she goes in at linebacker and Ed O'Neill the guy goes like basically who is that, and he goes, that's no girl, that's my niece.
And she's pissed.
Yeah. I think about that all the time just from a personal standpoint of when my niece used to play soccer and she would just when she would get mad, it would turn into hockey.
There's the young Devin Sawa as the quarterback.
Yep.
JR.
There you go.
All right. Mark, where are we going?
Okay. I think we should leave the sequels discussions to a little later. Let's go with putting it controversial thing I'll put down at the bottom of the list. Rudy D, because fuck Rudy.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna argue with you on that one.
We're putting it where at a D?
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think it's overrated.
Yep. There's too many people from my neighborhood growing up who are all Notre Dame fans just because they're Irish Catholic and they idolize that movie despite everything about it being probably
yeah, fair enough.
And not even in like a movie sense fake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So anyway.
All right. Dan, what about you?
All right, I'm looking for a good C movie. Good C movie. And I'm seeing like Tin Cup. I think that movie is I have no strong opinion on that one way or the other. Rocky 3. That's
a good C.
That's my least favorite of the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
Barring Rocky 5, because I've never really paid attention to that. So I put Rocky 3 at a C.
And I'd agree with that.
Okay.
It just has the one moment in it, the butcher prediction pain.
Yeah,
That's
I
really
don't
memorable.
find Clubber Lang to be as good of a villain as an Apollo Creed or Ivan Drago.
And ding, ding.
Yeah, ding. That's a great end of the movie.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I'm going to pick a movie that honestly I can't really remember that much. The Fighter, Christian Bale, and Mark Wahlberg. I have If you told me there's no fighting, there's no boxing scenes in this movie, I'd believe you because that's as little as I remember of this movie.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Amy Adams.
Adams won an Oscar for that movie, didn't she?
I think she was nominated. I don't think she's
definitely
won. I don't think she's ever won. I'm saying that this is like a C tier movie.
Yeah.
All right, I would have gone B because I do remember the acting to be pretty strong, but I'm outvoted there.
As a sports movie, I'll go C. That's the ranking that the scale that we're using it on. Definitely C. Just like that, Mark Wahlberg gets to finally bring something from his real life into a movie so that he can beat the shit out of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Amy Adams looking, as good as she usually does.
Yeah.
Really
not a problem there.
Like a good white trash Amy Adams.
Because they're Southies, right?
Yeah. I don't know why I'm about that. That probably says a lot about me.
Yeah. So
heroin chic.
So for me, just from a personal standpoint, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get outvoted on this, but I want to put. Yep, you're right on it, and I'm going to put Kingpin in an S tier. I love Kingpin.
That's high.
That is high.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind an A, but
yeah, I'd probably say even B. So I think we all even out to an A.
Okay, it's a good movie, but S.
It's the bowling aspect for me. That whole end scene I just love.
Yeah, no, the Ernie McCracken character is definitely iconic. It's an iconic Bill Murray character.
Yeah,
sure.
And I constantly just every time we go bowling, me and my brother-in-law also loves this movie a lot. We'll start just trying to do the most ridiculous Ernie McCracken like stuff. Before we bowl and after we get strikes and stuff. So I don't know. Like I said, that was a personal thing to put it at S, but I can deal with that.
That's what this is. It's all personal.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mark swung for the fences, tried to get his S in the S tier. I'm going to try and do the same, and I'm going to go with A League of Their Own.
Yes.
I think this is an S tier film.
That's an S tier. Yeah, that's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah. I watched this maybe in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's just fucking
still
great.
holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, what about you?
Dan.
Did I skip you accidentally?
That's okay.
Yeah.
You did, and I'm only... all right, I'm going to go... I'm going to go White Men Can't Jump. I think that's an A movie.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just shy of S. It's got the makings of an S, but not quite there.
Yeah, if we could have a grade lower than F for the TV version of White Men Can't Jump, I would put that there.
Oh, is that Macklemore? Not Macklemore. Who's
Jack Harlow?
Jack Harlow. Oh my God. Yeah, that's an F for sure.
I have not seen
F minus.
All right, Mark, where are you going?
So, can we start? I want to do sequels, so I want to maybe grab 2 here if the second one isn't there.
You can grab it.
I think D2 and Major League 2 are both A's for me.
Major League 2, I would not put as an A. I think
Major League 2.
I love it too, but it's not nearly as good as the first one, and I think that's to it. Not being rated R hurts a lot. I think because it's more silly than.
Is there Major League 2 on here?
I don't know. That's why I wanted to ask. I don't see it. I see Major League.
I see
D2 is definitely an A.
They have Major League on there twice. It looks like.
Yeah. Right.
So we don't have to worry about it.
I don't have an argument for D2A.
Yeah, I saw a video on TikTok about D2, which just shows you how much your kid brain doesn't work when loving certain aspects or just dismissing whole aspects. That they gather the best team in America for the Junior Goodwill Games, and the 4 ringers they bring in all have something that is fundamentally wrong with them as hockey players.
Right.
Luis Mendoza is the fastest skater, but he can't stop.
Right.
Portman, just always in the penalty box. And then the best part of the video is the last third of it, where he just rips on Gordon Bombay for not playing Julie the Cat Gaffney at all in the tournament until the final scene. She has the better glove. And it cuts back to the guy, and he goes, "Then why the fuck was she not playing in the rest of the games?"
All right, Dan, where are you going?
Okay, let's. I want to get another like a D or a C here. This might be controversial. I think Any Given Sunday's a D.
Say probably. I'd maybe give it a C.
Yeah, I'm on the ant side of that. But yes, I
Yeah.
do agree it's overrated.
Yeah, I think it is a very self-indulgent movie.
Yeah.
A lot of egos clashing in that movie, and like scenery better. Just not a very strong script in that movie.
Yeah, Willie Beeman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I think there's a lot of good actors in it. Obviously, Pacino and Jamie Foxx are really good, and they're just kind of wasted in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, where am I going to go? Oh, okay. Space Jam. Feel like this is at best a C.
Mm-hmm.
As a movie, yes.
Yeah.
Could even be a D.
I wouldn't hate putting it at a D because I think it runs purely on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I would say we're not going to do every sports movie or every movie that has a sequel or anything. The only reason I would lean C, but I can keep it a D, is just because if you put the sequel in there, it has to be below.
That's fair.
The LeBron James
That's
version.
fair. You know what? Based on that, I'm going to move that to a C.
Yeah.
It's not all. Space Jam 2 is not here, but spiritually, I agree.
Yeah.
All right,
All
let's get maybe a couple more per person, and then we can call it a night.
All right. Is it me again?
Yeah.
I'm going to overshoot it because I don't know where
It's a D. I'm D.
I was going to put Varsity Blues in a B.
What were you gonna put it at?
B.
Oh yeah. I think its highest is a C.
Well, I'll say it's a C. I knew where you were going.
Ed knew exactly where I was going.
I think you were going to say S.
No, I know it's not that good. It was my version of the moth joke, Dan.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I know you guys too well. All right, Dan, where you got?
I got to put an S in there, and I don't think you guys will object to this. I think The Sandlot is an S tier movie.
Yes, it is.
100%. Yep. No arguments.
Nothing encapsulates the childhood feeling of baseball better than The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Wendy Peppercorn,
yeah. Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think a good A movie is Happy Gilmore.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a sneaky A movie.
Yeah, I think so. But I think, Little Giants is up there, Kingpin, White Man Can't Jump, D2. I think it's just as good as those movies.
Yeah. I would rewatch Happy Gilmore more than a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mark, why don't you last one for you?
Yeah, so I'll go with a deep cut for me here. I don't know if you guys seen it or would know where to put it or anything. I really enjoy the program and would like to put it at either a B or an A.
I've never seen that, so I can't really say.
It's there. It's next to Caddyshack.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. There it is. I haven't seen it. Where you feel like
I would put it in A because it's actually a really good depiction of how terrible college football could be. At least back in the early 90s when steroids were rampant, in America. And, it's some good lessons in there, in terms of it doesn't try to be an inspirational sports movie. And I think that's why I really love it.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, Dan, pick your last one.
I'm trying to decide if I want to go out on a high note or a low here. Because I see one movie that I think is a solid A. Because I'm excluding a movie like Raging. That's an S, no doubt.
Yeah,
that's an S tier, no doubt.
Yeah.
But then I also see a movie like The Way Back or Blaze of Glory, which are D tier by far. And I think that's just too easy. I don't want to go too easy.
Okay.
Like Remember the Titans, that's an A or an S.
S.
We probably lean more towards S there. All right, so let's go. I want to go Cinderella Man.
Okay. I am going to say that is a B tier for me.
Yeah.
I would go A. I think that is, to me, that's probably one of his best work. I like that movie more than I like Gladiator with him. But I've been overruled. You guys put it at a B.
Yeah,
So.
B was my first thought.
Okay. It's kind of like The Fighter to me. There's like I don't remember much of it.
This one had more heart in it than The Fighter because this is taking place during the Great Depression.
Yeah,
and it's a true underdog story.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think The Fighter is just he grew up in a bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The only question I had for you, I don't know if you could tell or what is that Kevin Bacon movie that just says Air?
Oh, interesting, because that was going to be my pick.
Okay.
Because this is a movie I've seen a lot. Because it used to be on HBO like all the time.
Really?
It's The Air Up There, where
Okay.
Kevin Bacon goes to Africa to recruit a basketball player and learns a little bit about himself too.
Who
So if
plays
you guys
the basketball player?
I'm assuming you guys haven't seen this.
I have not.
I actually don't know who plays the basketball player. I don't know if it's anybody.
For some reason, I thought it was Dwight Howard.
No, that's too young.
No,
right?
this is like early 90s, 1994. Charles Gitonga Maina.
So he played basketball, it looks like, but not probably NBA level.
Yeah, he's on Sequest.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is a Disney movie.
Yes, I think so. I've seen it on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Okay, so we won't pick that if you guys haven't seen that.
That is funny that's the one I've been. There's another one I'm looking at that I have no idea what it is, but you'll probably never pick it. I don't think.
I'm gonna go with Little Big League's not in up here, but I'm gonna go with Rookie of the Year. Where are we putting Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year,
Superhero.
A superhero, according to you.
Superhero Henry Rowan
I'd go B.
I think this is B level.
Yeah, that was my first reaction to it. As much as I've seen that movie a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's
not quite Little Giants.
I
agree.
That's the scale I was using. And it's not D2 for me either. The fun thing about that movie is the year it came out. My one, this will start off sad but be funny. My one friend, literally like a week or two before the movie, got in a car accident to where he had a similar cast in the thing. So we went to see the movie, and then for the rest of the time when he came back and was our pitcher the next season. We nicknamed him Henry. That was just a fun little Mark Tippett thing.
But he didn't throw 120 miles an hour.
No, he didn't throw 120 miles an hour.
Oh, so not a superhero.
Not a superhero, but it was a being that age, kid, and just having fun with that in a very sad situation that happened to one of your good friends. That's why I always love that movie. Is it allowed us to not, it allowed him to not be as sad in that situation he was in. So the things movies can do.
Don't be sad. Let's watch let's watch Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it came as 8-9 years. We would have been correct. 93, I believe that is
something like that.
Yeah, it was the stupid thing of a child brain. Then the inspiration. When I get this cast off, I'm going to throw like Henry Rowan Garden.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That's a good list that we got here.
Yeah. I think with this genre, there were a lot of the way that I was thinking about it is especially for baseball or boxing. There's so many excellent baseball and boxing movies that it's easy to tell them apart from S tier to the lower tiers. That's why I kind of wanted to go with some of the other movies,
Sure.
like Any Given Sunday, Rocky. Those movies, there's such a huge gap between what's great and what's shit.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to give a shout out to The Program, which is a movie everybody should see. It's really good and kind of fell under the radar.
All right. Yeah. No, that was fun. All righty. Well, that is our show this week. Hit us up on our socials, TickTamPod on Instagram and Twitter and Threads, all those stupid things. They call this a movie on TikTok. You can hit us up there. If you have any questions, comments, you want to suggest a movie to us, hit us up at Gmail. TickTamPod@gmail.com is a great place to get in contact with us. And yeah, hit us up on YouTube. Find us on YouTube. Videos we post there. And yeah, that is our show. The director of the minis is Valerio Zanoli. So, for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony DeVecchio telling Valerio Zanoli, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Call This a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Call This a Movie.